A gentle deer turns into a ruthless hunter after human greed corrupts his forest. The story begins with a young deer named Bambi wandering peacefully through the woods with his mother. Without warning, a hunter appears and shoots Bambi's mother right in front of him. What once felt like a beautiful, safe world suddenly becomes cold and frightening. Still just a fawn, Bambi is left broken and alone. As the years go by, he grows into a full-grown deer, eventually finding joy again when he takes a mate and becomes a father. But that calm does not last. A powerful corporation pollutes the forest with radioactive waste. During the chaos, Bambi's mate is struck and killed by a speeding truck, while their young one runs off in terror and vanishes. In the confusion, Bambi is attacked and knocked unconscious. Soon after, a worker from the Wilbexa company dumps barrels of toxic chemicals into a river that runs through the woods. When Bambi wakes up, devastated by the loss of his family, he walks to the river to drink, not knowing the water has been poisoned. The toxic liquid warps his body and mind, transforming him into a brutal and vengeful creature driven only by rage. The story then cuts to 3 hunters hired by the Wilbexa company. A man named Tyler is seen practicing his shooting skills while Michael supervises his training and Eddie keeps watch over the nearby forest. "You ever shot a deer?" one of them jokes. Meanwhile, a woman named Xana is shown calling her ex-husband Simon. Xana is upset because Simon cannot make it to his family's Thanksgiving gathering due to work. Even though they are divorced, Xana is still close with Simon's relatives. She ends up taking a taxi to the house with their young son, Benji. During the ride, Benji suddenly feels sick, forcing the driver to pull over so he can throw up. After a brief stop, they continue on their way. While the driver looks for some candy to help Benji feel better, a gigantic deer suddenly charges out of the darkness and flips the taxi over. The attacker turns out to be Bambi, now driven by rage after losing his family. The driver is crushed by the wrecked vehicle, while Xana and Benji barely manage to escape. They run for their lives as Bambi tears through the scene. In the chaos, Xana leaves her phone behind in the destroyed taxi as she shields Benji and tells him to close his eyes. Elsewhere, Mary, Simon's mother, stands outside her home staring toward the forest, softly calling out Bambi's name. She seems to share an unusual emotional connection with the deer. It is revealed that Mary suffers from dementia, which is why Simon's brother Andrew and Andrew's wife Harriet have to constantly watch over her. When Harriet notices Mary wandering outside alone, she gently brings her back inside. Andrew and Harriet have a son named Harrison. Because he is spoiled, Harrison often behaves badly and shows little respect for others, frequently mocking his grandmother Mary for her condition. Not long after, Xana and Benji arrive at Mary's house, shaken and out of breath. At the same time, Simon is shown on the phone with the same 3 hunters seen earlier in the forest. Their tense conversation suggests something serious must be handled that night. Inside the house, Xana explains how the deer named Bambi attacked their taxi and killed the driver. Andrew wants to call the police, but the signal is too weak, so he sends his younger brother Josh up a hill to get reception. Noticing Benji has a cut on his leg from broken glass, Xana quickly cleans and bandages his wound. At the same time, Simon's team comes across the wrecked taxi Xana had been riding in earlier. The driver is found dead inside, and Eddie spots Xana's phone lying among the debris and shows it to the others. Just then, a loud crashing noise echoes through the forest, clearly caused by Bambi, and the 3 hunters immediately move to investigate. As they hear someone approaching in the darkness, Tyler panics and accidentally fires his gun toward Josh, who is on the hill trying to get phone signal. The shot kills Josh instantly. Realizing what just happened, they decide to hide the body to avoid being exposed. Back at the house, Xana continues treating Benji's injury but becomes annoyed by Harrison's rude attitude toward his grandmother Mary. When Harrison is called away by his mother, Benji begins to notice Mary's strange behavior. He watches as she mutters to herself and scribbles wildly in a notebook, clearly disturbed. As he looks at her drawings, Mary suddenly freezes and stares out toward the garden, as if she senses something coming. Moments later, Bambi smashes into the house. Andrew's family is thrown into shock as the massive deer storms inside, tearing through the rooms and sending everyone into panic. Harriet, terrified, hides in the bathroom, but Bambi finds her, breaks in, and attacks her. Xana, Mary, Benji, Andrew, and Harrison rush outside toward the car in the yard. As Andrew tries to start the engine, they suddenly realize Harriet is still inside. Before they can go back, Bambi brutally kills her, tearing her apart right in front of them. In total terror, they speed away as the enraged creature chases after the car. Even with Andrew pushing the vehicle to its limit, Bambi keeps pace, far stronger and faster than any normal deer. Somehow, they finally manage to get away. Meanwhile, Simon's team arrives at the destroyed house. Behind it, they find Harriet barely alive, her body horribly injured. Unable to let her suffer, Michael ends her life. After driving for some time, Andrew's group is forced to stop when a fallen tree blocks the road. Andrew, Harrison, and Xana step out to try and move it, while Benji stays inside with Mary, telling her stories about his father Simon to calm her down. Outside, Andrew and Harrison use a rope tied to the car to pull at the tree. Xana goes back to the vehicle to check on Benji, reassuring him that everything will be okay. Just as things seem to settle, Bambi suddenly steps out right in front of them. Reacting on instinct, Xana shouts for Benji to hit the gas. What they do not realize is that Andrew's leg is still caught in the rope tied to the car. As the vehicle speeds forward, he is dragged across the road, his body scraped against the asphalt until he is killed. Left behind, Harrison runs into the forest, desperate to find somewhere to hide. It soon becomes clear that Bambi is not chasing Xana at all, but is tracking Harrison instead. Using his powerful sense of smell, Bambi begins hunting him. Trying to stay hidden, Harrison moves slowly and carefully, but then slips and falls into a pile of deer droppings. When Bambi comes close, the strong scent masks Harrison's human smell, causing the creature to lose interest and move on. After driving some distance, Benji's car runs out of fuel, forcing them to stop. Xana steps out and tells Benji to stay with Mary. That is when she realizes Andrew is dead, his face torn and scraped from being dragged along the road. Benji climbs out of the car to check on his mother, and at that moment, Mary, who was left alone, begins walking into the woods. Xana and Benji immediately chase after her. Elsewhere, Harrison is still trying to escape the forest. He is shaking with fear as strange sounds come from behind the bushes. Suddenly, a rabbit jumps out, irritating him so much that he kicks it away. Moments later, a whole group of rabbits appears. They move in an unnatural way, far faster than normal animals, all clearly mutated by the same chemicals that changed Bambi. Terrified, Harrison backs away, but he trips and falls. His head becomes trapped in a hunter's snare, and he is brutally overwhelmed and devoured by the savage rabbits. This horrifying moment is later revealed to have been captured by a hidden CCTV camera, suggesting that someone has been watching the forest all along and setting traps on purpose, possibly to draw Bambi out. Back with Xana and Benji, they try to convince Mary to return to the car, but she only mutters softly to herself. Benji briefly lights a flare, but Xana quickly tells him to put it out, afraid it might attract Bambi. Suddenly, Mary stumbles into a disturbing sight, piles of bones and human remains scattered across the ground, revealing that they have found Bambi's nest. Just moments later, Bambi appears in front of them and attacks. Panicking, they run for their lives, barely managing to escape onto the main road and get away. On the road, they come across Michael and his team, who take them back to their base. During the ride, Xana urges Michael to report everything to the authorities, but he refuses, claiming things are under control. When they arrive at the base, a strange noise alerts Michael, but it turns out to be Simon stepping out of the control room. Benji immediately rushes to his father and hugs him tightly, relieved to finally see him again. Xana, however, is shocked and hurt when she realizes that Simon is actually part of the hunting group. Simon had always claimed he was tied up with work. Their heated argument is overheard by Benji, who becomes even more upset, as his parents always end up fighting whenever they are together. Hearing the distant cries of a baby deer, Benji quietly sneaks away to follow the sound. He soon discovers that Eddie and Tyler are using Bambi's child as bait, hoping it will draw Bambi out so they can trap him. This reveals a shocking truth. The same group Simon works with was actually responsible for killing Bambi's mate. When Xana asks to borrow a phone so she can call the police, Michael raises his gun and stops her. At that moment, the full plan is exposed. They intend to wipe out Bambi and all the other mutated animals. Simon's pharmaceutical company had polluted the forest with toxic chemicals, never expecting it would turn the wildlife into deadly creatures. If Xana contacts the authorities, they would all be arrested and sent to prison. Overwhelmed, she demands to know what is really going on. Right now he might not hurt you, but I definitely will. As Xana and Simon leave Michael's room, Xana suddenly realizes that Benji is gone. Panicked, she rushes out to search for her son. Elsewhere, Benji sees Eddie threatening the baby deer, while Tyler wanders deeper into the woods to find a private place. As soon as Tyler switches on his flashlight, he senses something nearby. In the next instant, Bambi attacks and kills him. When Tyler does not come back, Eddie goes to look for him and finds his partner's lifeless body. Horrified, he turns and spots Bambi approaching from a distance. Terrified, Eddie runs toward the vehicle, trying to escape, but he is quickly caught and killed by the raging creature. Meanwhile, Benji feels sorry for the helpless baby deer and decides to free it. However, his actions are seen on the CCTV by a woman named Jo, one of Michael's allies. She immediately alerts Michael about what Benji has done. Not wanting his plan to fall apart, Michael runs after Benji, determined to stop him. Elsewhere, Xana and Simon continue searching through the forest, unaware that Bambi's sense of smell has become far stronger than ever. After killing Eddie, Bambi almost attacks Grandma Mary as well. But just as he hesitates, loud noises made by Jo suddenly grab his attention, causing Bambi to turn and attack her instead. Trapped in the kitchen, Jo fires at a gas cylinder, setting off a huge explosion. The blast is powerful enough to be seen even by Michael deep in the forest. Shortly after, Michael finds Benji and becomes enraged, ready to kill him for releasing the baby deer. Moments later, Xana and Simon arrive and try to calm everything down. But when Benji refuses to give up the baby deer, Michael nearly pulls the trigger. Suddenly, Bambi appears, smoke rising. Bambi charges straight at Michael, slamming into him and dragging him into the woods. As Xana reaches for Michael's dropped phone, Simon selfishly grabs it for himself. In doing so, Simon shows that he is more concerned about himself than his own family. Even when Benji stands face to face with Bambi, Simon chooses to run away. That is when Xana realizes Bambi only wants his child back. She tells Benji to stay calm and gently return the baby deer. The situation slowly calms as the baby deer manages to comfort Bambi. Taking advantage of the moment, Xana quickly pulls Benji away from the dangerous animal. But the peace does not last long. Michael, who is somehow still alive, suddenly opens fire and shoots Bambi several times. Just seconds later, a single gunshot echoes through the forest and hits Michael in the head. To everyone's shock, the shot is fired by Mary, who has finally had enough of the cruelty she has witnessed. After being hit by multiple bullets, Bambi staggers and finally collapses, dying in front of them. Although the threat is over, the baby deer, now reunited with its father, looks heartbroken, as if silently promising that one day it might take revenge on humans. Not wanting things to grow even worse, Xana hugs Benji and Mary tightly and urges them to leave the forest as quickly as possible. At the same time, Simon is driving away by himself when he suddenly senses something is wrong. He pulls over and checks inside his car, only to be horrified when he finds a mutated rabbit hiding inside. Sadly, Simon is then attacked and killed by the creature.